All right, that's confusing. It says end broadcast, and I think I just ended the broadcast, but no, it's still a button. So there we are.
We are live.
Yeah, we are. This is why I try not to tax Bancroft's brain too much. There we are, dude. So you just hit the button, and when will Elysian Fields actually close?
So we just hit the opt-out button. For those of you in the audience hanging out, hail to the chat. So we just pressed it. It takes up to 3 business days. On the zero issue, it took about 2.5 days for it to go through. So this is the final window to get in. We are less than $100 away from 8K,
Mm-hmm.
and 1,100 away from 9. If we hit 9,000, we will have officially made more on Pyramid Gambit than we did on the zero issue, and that would be awesome. So if anyone wants to come in and throw money at us, do so now.
Cool. Oh, and did I even bother to put the link to your campaign in the chat? No, I am so behind on this, man.
It's all good. I got you. I think we'll figure it out.
Okay, here we go. Paste. There's a way to. I can't even think of how to pin a link in anymore at the top of the chat, but we'll get it done. So hello, Ian Franklin. Thank you for showing up. Hi, Mo Biggs and Black Rose Comics. Ian is a little bit new, so he doesn't know anybody's names here. Mo is our resident heckler, so by all means, go off on Ian all you can. But let's all be gentle with Black Rose. Hey, View of Uranus, good to see you, I guess.
No need to be gentle. You rough all you want, Mo. This is practically your the stream is practically your playground anyway, man.
How many streams have you been on today? Just one?
3.
Okay, you're tired. I've been one. We talked about Superman the other night, just you and me hanging out, and View of Uranus is always gentle. Well, that's nice. Someone likes it rough. Let's see. What's this here? There are controls all over the place. Oh, there's the link. Okay.
How many beers have I been on today, Mo? 1 so far. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna go make it 2. Be right back.
He'll be back. If you guys have questions, feel free to just pester him, because I'm just gonna ask him about what's his influences in writing and why does he love Superman? Old Superman. We know that they destroyed Superman, and we don't need to focus on that because everyone says, "Oh, it's all irrelevant." The mainstream is dead, so nobody cares about it anymore. Well, we still do care about the classic characters. I think it's hilarious that how is he plastered off less than 1 beer? Family life. He's been streaming today to close out, so he's tired. How is it that the sky is blue? Well, Ian, as my dad said it to me when I was, I think, 7 years old, the size of the nitrogen molecules is most easily walked around by the wavelength of light that we see as cyan, but really it's towards green, but we see cyan. And I was 7, so I kind of was listening, intently, as children tend to do. But man, beyond that, I didn't catch anything else that he said. Oh, thank God you're back.
Whew. How's it going, guys?
I've been boring them to death with stuff about nitrogen.
Outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you love Superman, right?
We literally just started this stream talking about how we spent like an hour and a half talking about Superman.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but I don't know how many beers you've really had,
But yes, no, I'm a big Superman fan.
All right. So what is it now? If we're gonna forget, just trim off everything about Action Comics 1000 and onward. We don't care at that point.
Bendis doesn't exist.
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What was it when did you get hooked on Superman? Because where we're going to go with this is eventually, how does that affect you as a writer? But start with how you got hooked.
So it's actually very interesting because growing up, I had a very different view of Superman than I do now. When I was growing up, I grew up as a big Marvel kid. You know, I had the only real DC thing that I enjoyed was Batman the Animated Series. Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie. Shameless plug. But anyways, I wasn't a huge fan of Superman. It was this whole thing where it's like, how could anyone like a character that like has no everything's so easy for him and this, that, the other. Like you have all the powers in the world. Where's the suspense going to come from in his storytelling? And I didn't like him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ironic because the thing that got me to start looking into Superman is something that as I became a Superman fan, every single time I fell in love with the character more, I would look back at this thing and hate it. And that is Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
Oh.
Man of Steel was the first time that I watched anything with Superman that I felt, wow, that's interesting. You made Superman interesting. And so then I started going, and I was reading things like Superman Earth 1, which felt very similar in tone to Man of Steel, and a few things like that. But I think the moment that really got me to appreciate Superman was reading Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman.
Okay.
And it was like, it clicked. It's like, oh man, this is such a fantastic character. I think that's when I really started to enjoy his character. But the moment that I fell in love with Superman, the moment that I really felt like I could call myself a Superman fan, and not just a guy that had now appreciated Superman as a character, was issue number 2 of the Peter J. Tomasi, Patrick Gleason Superman Rebirth run.
Oh, okay, that's really specific. So
it is because it was also the first. At the time, I was deployed.
Mm-hmm.
I was writing for. I was an independent creator, is what they used to be called, for Movie Pilot, and I wrote a review of that book and how it was an ode to fatherhood, a celebration of fatherhood, and showcased Superman dealing with a struggle that nobody was perfect at, being a good father, being a good dad. And that was the struggle of his story in this. And Movie Pilot found it, and they posted it to their Facebook page. And that article got, by the time Movie Pilot closed down, that article got over 3,000 reads.
Dang.
It is the piece that I wrote that got me to realize that people were interested in what I had to say. And it's what got me set down the path to where I am now as a writer. And so in that way, Superman affected my writing, because Superman is the reason why I'm writing comics.
All right. Now, we got a few things in the chat. Ian Franklin wants to know, I think rhetorically, is there anyone who could play Brainiac? And he also says that Man of Steel had some really good father-son moments in it. Hello, Fred.
Where? Hold on. Where? Do you mean the part where fucking Jonathan Kent tells the 13-year-old that he should have let the bus full of kids drown? Or how about the fact that he literally killed himself?
Wait, I think he's referring to Jor-El and son.
There weren't any really scenes like they have like 3 scenes together.
Hmm.
That as I said, Man of Steel was a movie that when I first watched it, I really loved. And every single time that I have watched it after becoming immersed in Superman lore, I despise. And one of the biggest problems that I have with that fucking abomination of a film is Jonathan Kent. Because Jonathan Kent literally kills himself to guilt trip his son to prevent him from becoming Superman.
I don't know about agreeing with you on the guilt trip part, but
the entire conversation prior to him dying in the tornado was Clark wanted to go around the world and use his powers to help people and figure out his purpose. And Jonathan Kent told him, "Oh, you don't help people by staying here on the farm. People need food." Jonathan Kent never wanted that version of Jonathan Kent never wanted Clark to be a superhero, and he killed himself so that Clark would never reveal his powers to the world, because that's how firmly he was against it. Fuck Man of Steel, Jonathan Kent. Piece of shit.
Now, where I agree with you on that one is actually pretty personal to me. When I was getting into fights in school because I was being bullied, so I wasn't bullying, I was being bullied and trying to stand up for myself. My dad gave me like no guidance on when and how to fight back or why. So there's like no wisdom in it at all. And they made that Jonathan Kent from Man of Steel into that kind of dad. Like, well, you should have let the kids drown because it would have risked yourself, which is a completely selfish idea. And it doesn't give any wisdom or guidance to Clark on how to, get through things and stuff like that. So I agree with you that they botched Jonathan Kent completely. He's not a moral figure at all in the film.
And it's a shame because that's literally the foundation of Jonathan's character. And whenever they depending on the writing team, they either have Jonathan Kent die or they have him live. But if Jonathan Kent dies in the story, it's usually of something like a heart attack, because it's supposed to embody the fact that there are limitations to what Superman can do. Superman cannot save his father from his death because at the end of the day, he can't stop the heart attack. He can't do that. Mm-hmm. And so like that's a whole other thing. Now, to address if there is somebody that I think could play Brainiac, there are a few people that I think could play Brainiac. And in fact, one of them has technically already been used in a superhero film for a very similar type character. That's James Spader from Blacklist, who played Ultron in Age of Ultron. I think he would do actually a phenomenal job as Brainiac.
Is that the guy who was in the original, long ago in '94, was in the original Stargate film?
He might have been. I am not nearly as well versed in his film rap sheet. The only thing I know him to be in other than Age of Ultron was he was a very big deal in the Blacklist.
There's a reason I have IMDb as one of the options in my search box. Yeah, that's the same guy. Okay, yeah, same actor.
I think that he'd do a very good job.
As Brainiac. Yeah, he's pretty versatile.
As Brainiac, I think he'd be very good. The guy who played Data in Star Trek,
Brent Spiner,
would also do a very good job.
Who do you say?
Michael Fassbender as well. Michael Fassbender did, you can say, Prometheus was a stupid fucking movie, but Michael Fassbender played the shit out of that android. Mm-hmm. Michael Fassbender would be a great Brainiac.
He's definitely one of those where every time I see a different film he's in, I don't remember it's him. And it's not because of the makeup or grooming or anything like that.
No, it's because he has crazy range. He can play someone that's super cold and emotionless one moment, and then the next moment deliver one of the most pathos-fueled performances as Eric Lehnsherr's Magneto in any of the X-Men films. He's like the only fucking saving grace of any X-Men movie since First Class.
Mm-hmm. Ian here says, well, okay, Jim Cox says, hey, Mike, which is an old Comicsgate joke for you. If you don't get it, I'll explain it later. Good, you get it. And
It's because
Ian,
there's a million of us.
what's that?
It's because there's a million of us.
Oh yeah,
Michael was the most common name of any male in 2010 when they did a poll.
Let's see. I think he's done a voice in a I think he's done a voice in a cartoon. I think. I wonder if who's that referring to, Mr. Ian? Is that going to be Spader or Fassbender or what?
Maybe, probably. I don't even fucking know.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so one thing about I didn't realize that about the scene with that Jonathan was really guilt tripping Clark in that scene.
That's literally the whole point. Is Clark even says it when they're at his grave? Is my father died to protect to ensure that I would never reveal that secret. Like that was the whole point.
I know, and I misinterpreted that as being protective rather than guilt trip. So I really should have seen it for guilt trip. But
like protect only makes sense if he showcased any fostering love towards his child for the first section of that film, which he doesn't.
Right.
Every fucking time that Clark tries to help people, Jonathan scolds him.
Yeah, all the protection he really showed towards his kid was selfish, not actual safety. So that was annoying. But ignoring Jonathan Kent for a minute, one person tried to make I read tried to make a positive out of that film, and I'm more with Fan Man and Professor Geek, if you know who they are. They are not happy with the Zack Snyder verse at all in any of its gritty grains of sand. And I'm like, okay, I think everything they say is perfectly reasonable. And Fan Man, Chris Moe is his name. He has a stream in the morning called Second Cup Cafe, if anyone wants to look it up. But they, in contrast to them, one person tried to make it sound like that this hopeful Superman really existed in Zack Snyder's film because he's so hopeful that all you see on him is the anguish of our horrible world as he's discovering it and exploring it and dealing with all the pain that he sees. I think that's quite a stretch, but it
is definitely a stretch. I would say that the only saving grace, and we'll just stick with Man of Steel because I am not going on the 2.5 long hour tirade that I have for Batman versus Superman.
No, please don't.
For just sticking on Man of Steel, there are 4 saving graces of Man of Steel. 4 things about that movie that are good.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, the relationship between Martha Kent and Clark is good. The sequence where Clark is freaking out about his powers and Martha comes in and helps him focus and get in touch with them is beautiful. It's very well done. It's well shot. It's emotional. It's great. 2, First Flight is one of the best filmed superhero sequences in any film, and is one of my favorite Superman scenes in any medium.
Mm-hmm.
It is the only point of that movie where Superman feels like Superman. Oh God, fuck you, Mo. 3, Michael Shannon's performance is Zod because it's Michael Shannon, and Michael Shannon is probably one of the greatest character actors of our time.
Mm-hmm.
And 4, aesthetic. Snyder is a fuckhead about a lot of things, but that man's design team and the way that he shoots sequences are very good. It is a very cinematic film.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really cool. It is also the definition of a well-polished turd.
A well-polished parable?
No, a well-polished turd.
Oh, turd. Thank you. Sorry.
It is a literal that the script of that movie is written by a man with no interest in ever fucking writing a Superman film. It's written by David Goyer, who during the promotional tour of, I think, The Dark Knight Rises, was asked if he would ever be interested in doing a take on Superman, to which he answered no, flat out. It was written by someone that was disinterested in Superman, directed by someone who didn't understand Superman, and as a result, while it looks very pretty, while it is shot very well, it is a soulless piece of garbage that completely misses the point of the character. Fuck that movie. And that's all I will say.
One of the visual aesthetics, I think, it wasn't so bad until I saw somebody fix it, was the color saturation. It's like he just grayed everything over, but it wasn't like a fog on the lens type effect. It was just turning the color down to gray. And once I saw somebody take some bits of it and just literally just turn up the saturation control, it looked even better, but that doesn't
100%
any of the direction.
There's that too. Like, again, Snyder, the way that Snyder filmed that movie, he wanted you to feel depressed the entire time, which is not what a Superman movie should be. If anybody wants to watch a phenomenal video, you need to look up High Top Films, Man of Steel, Winter Soldier, Redefining an American Icon. It is a comparative analysis on how both of these films effectively set out with the same goal of redefining an American icon for a post 9/11 America, and why Winter Soldier succeeds and Man of Steel does not. Phenomenal video essay. High Top Films is someone that I adore. I might not agree with all of his opinions on all of the movies, but his analysis on all of them have always been intriguing and great watches. Very good investment of your time. But as we to go back to the whole thing with, you shouldn't feel depressed in a Superman film. When we were talking the other day, I mentioned Superman Up in the Sky, and the thing that you get from Superman Up in the Sky, despite it being written by Tom King, is by the end of the book, you feel hopeful. The entire book is a simple premise, and it builds up its anticipation for the payoff of what? For hope in tomorrow, because that is what Superman is. He's the man of tomorrow. Things might not be the best today. Things might not have been the best yesterday. But there is a hope for a better tomorrow, and that is what the Superman character is supposed to embody. And Man of Steel misses that point on every fucking level, and it is it is made even worse by being punctuated by Batman versus Superman, because I think at the end of Man of Steel, they actually end the film on a much lighter note. And not even just tonally in its writing, but visually. The final scene where Superman destroys the drone and has the meeting with the government, and he makes the joke about being raised in Kansas, and what have you. Everything about that scene is filmed with brighter lighting than anything else in the movie.
Right.
And so to go from that to a Superman who a film later says, and direct quote, "No one stays good in this world." Zack Snyder doesn't understand Superman. No, Chris Terrio doesn't understand Superman. David S. Goyer doesn't understand Superman.
Yeah. We've had this comment sitting here for a bit. Well, good point. Zack Snyder was clueless. He loves the visual, but he can't do a lot of anything else. So a couple of things came up. Watchmen was mentioned as pretty good.
Yes.
Watchmen was so precious to the audience that he really couldn't change anything. And I mean, it comes off the page almost like how anime comes off of a manga page, where you're just not going to mess with things, scene by scene at least.
And
And
that's
then
the whole thing, is that if you tell Zack Snyder, take this comic book, you don't get to fuck with anything on the script.
mhm.
Take this, make it into a movie. You will not, there is not a single director out there that can do it better than Zack. There isn't. He will make every single scene feel like it's ripped straight from the comic book in a way that is authentic to the book, but also works from a cinematic angle.
Yeah, and this Tom King Superman of Tomorrow thing. Oh well, here we go. The best explanation I see of Superman being the Man of Tomorrow is any picture done by Alex Ross. Mr. Ross certainly knows how to interpret the Man of Tomorrow. Just saying.
100% correct.
And this thing of Tom King. Here we go. Tom King has written maybe two things I actually like. I couldn't even make it through Sheriff of Babylon. Tom King was so horrible. But
he's a super hit or miss writer. There have been a few things that I have enjoyed by him, but not many.
I quit at issue 10 of 12, knowing it was going to be 12 of his what is it? The not Vision. Okay, he did Sheriff of Babylon, he did that Vision book, and who's the other one? Mr. Miracle. Because it was
Mr.
just
Miracle was fucking bad.
Yeah, it
The
was
first 2 or 3 issues were interesting, and
Mhm.
then it got fucking convoluted.
Yeah, now I do have while I normally boycott anything Tom King, you told me about The Man of Tomorrow, which was
It was up in the sky is the title of the book.
Sorry, Up in the Sky.
Superman Up in the Sky is a very uncharacteristically well written Tom King book. And we had mentioned when we talked, Blue, that the biggest thing, and this is, and it's ironic, this is again going into that Zack Snyder thing. When you trap King in a cage and make him have to write something that falls within certain parameters. So Up in the Sky was initially released in separate parts in the 100-page giant-size Superman comics that were on the stands at Walmart. The target audience was children, so it had to be a work that was digestible for all ages. And so you got a Superman story with a basic premise that was so wholesome and pure to character that it could like literally you'd have to be mentally retarded to fuck it up.
Yeah, well, so the real key to King writing anything good is you have to hem him in like a cattle chute on its way to be stunned with a sledgehammer.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, like, for those of you who are curious, the whole premise of Up in the Sky is a girl has been abducted by people from space. These people from space have used Zeta tubes. They're nigh untrackable. And the only person with the hope of chasing them down is Superman. And so Superman leaves Earth despite his insecurities about it, because he knows that he is the defender of the Earth. So he leaves Earth and chases these people across the universe to bring this little girl home. And each time he gets a step closer, he faces a impossible situation that he has to deal with. And it's phenomenal.
Now, on your recommendation, I pre-ordered at discount the trade of all these chapters put together, which is like under $12 for pre-order.
It was a pre-order. They must have ran out of stock because it's been available for a minute. They might have ran out of stock. Like, it's actually a very popular book.
Oh, yeah, I must have screwed something up. I started looking for it, and the first place I looked for it was in the current solicitation, and it was there. So I figured that's it. I haven't pushed my pre-order through yet. I've got like 3 weeks to do that, so I might just look in regular stock for it then.
If you look on Amazon, you can find it.
Is that Comixology? Because I'm not talking digital.
No, I'm talking physical. If you go onto Amazon.com and look Up in the Sky, the trade paper will come up.
Cool. Well, either way, I'm doing this on your recommendation because it's Tom frickin' King. So
it is. No, and I understand that, and it's ironic as I've met Tom King a few times. He lives near me.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I met him, it was when he was in his high stride. And I met him at an awesome con. He was literally one of the most pretentious people I have ever met. But then it was funny because the second time I met him, I was really looking forward to tearing into him about his fucking Batman run. Because he's at my local store. And I go in there ready to fucking, like, I was like, I don't care if I get banned from the store for this. I am going to tear into him for his shitty writing.
Florida man dragged out. Yeah, okay.
and so I go in there, and it was like looking at a completely different person. He was a broken man that was just giddy that there were people even standing in his line. It was completely different. Sure. And when I got up to it, I couldn't say anything about his Batman run really, because like it felt like I would have been kicking like a wounded puppy. It was so bad. So like instead I asked him, I was like, everyone's talking about your and it was funny because Up in the Sky had been out by this point. I was like, it's funny because everyone talks about your Batman run. But I read Superman Up in the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
And Superman Up in the Sky is a million times better than anything you fucking did in your Batman run.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal? And he goes, oh, well, if I'm going to be entirely honest, I had a much better time writing Up in the Sky. And I just went like, it fucking shows.
Yeah, if you have fun doing something, it comes through. And when you're hemmed into the character has to be hopeful, he can't have a mommy wife, then suddenly you're writing a hopeful character, you're going to have more fun.
There's even a scene in there that there's an issue that I fucking adored, where Superman is on this planet trying to make a intergalactic call the Lois to check in and make sure she's doing okay. And so it's literally like if Superman was stuck in an intergalactic DMV, and it literally seems like hell. And so like Superman and Tom King actually got into a lot of fucking trouble for this because people tried to throw the woman in the refrigerator trope at him. But that wasn't the case. The whole issue surrounds with Superman keeps having all these like fatalistic night like daydreams about Lois getting killed over and over again because he's not there. Like Lex Luthor gets the drop on her, and kills Lois because he expects Superman to show up, but since he's out, he doesn't. And Lex is just like, but why? and so like that was the whole thing. It's like it brought this very human thing, and like he'd keep getting called up to go, and they'd pull like the standard DMV shit. It's like, is this your number? Well, we have a collect call for you. You have to go wait in that line now. And like there's even a line where Superman is just like, I swear, when I get out of here, I am going to take this horrible planet and throw it into a black hole. and you're just like, yeah, I get it. And it was fantastic. Like it had all these great and that was one of those trials that he goes through, is having to deal with the anxiety of not being there to protect the Earth. It was beautiful. It was a genuinely good book. I cannot recommend. I cannot recommend Up in the Sky more than enough. Like it is a genuinely good Superman story. And it's very frustrating because this was coming out, like, especially considering it was coming out during the time he was writing City of Bane, his like final arc on Batman.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't kick the wounded puppy, because that's one, I don't want you in jail, and two, I was going to ask you, when did the wounded puppy incident happen? It was somewhere mid Batman, like after the marriage.
It was in March 2020. It was about.
Okay,
so this year, literally right as he was finishing up his run.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Like right before the shutdown was really in effect. and I showed up, and he looked like dog shit, and he
Yeah.
was just happy that anyone was there in that fucking line and willing to talk to him.
Did you even say anything, or did you just kind of glide by like ships in the night?
I did give him one criticism because it's something that bugs the shit out of me that he does it every single time that Tom King writes World War II setting. He always calls it the Great War. And the Great War was not World War II, it was World War One. And so the one piece of constructive criticism that I gave him was, you need to unfuck that.
Yeah.
Because it's a simple Google search.
And
The
he
Great
takes
War.
when that came up again, and when he was taking credit for having someone say truth, justice, and the American way, and he's like,
Yes,
look,
that's
here
actually in
Superman.
his Up in the Sky book. There's a
Yeah.
sequence where
And he's
Superman
taking credit for including it in a Superman book when I mean, just bluntly missing the point that it's Superman's line, not other people's line, which is what he made it.
Yeah, well, like yes, Tom King was wrong because it's Tom King is an idiot.
Mhm.
The line is speaking about Superman.
Yeah.
From Sergeant Rock's perspective, it's a very well done sequence. It's really good.
Okay. But at least it's a comment about Superman and not just somebody else saying it.
The whole thing is that Superman's just helped them take out a German bunker. And as Superman flies off, Sergeant Rock is looking up to him. And he says, I believe in truth, justice, and the American way. I believe in Superman.
Mm-hmm. So that's a lot better than just some rando said it in a out of context situation.
It was legitimate. It was Sergeant Rock. The story was, I think, even called I Believe. And so like the whole thing is that Superman doesn't really remember who he is for the majority of the story. And then when it comes back to him and he does all the Superman stuff, he helps them lead a charge against a German bunker. And then as Superman flies off, you know, he's talking about religion in the foxhole, kind of like stereotypical stuff like that. And then he's like, I don't know much about what I believe, but I can tell you what I do believe in is truth, justice, and the American way. I believe in Superman. And it's beautiful. It's really well done.
And by the way, these guys are talking about lamps at this point because I don't know when to interrupt you to look at the chat or anything like that. So it's like I have to forget we're not alone. If a story writes itself, Tom King can.
And
sorry, what?
It was like the chat is important, and Mo Biggs needs attention because he's a troll.
If Mo Biggs doesn't get enough attention, I become a victim. So anyway, if a story writes itself, Tom King can handle it as long as he's heavily supervised. Yes.
Yes.
A ring through the nose, fences on both sides, and a chain with a tractor pulling him.
or if you even say is like you have to write, and I guess this would also be putting him within confines. You have to write a short story because Tom King actually wrote two short stories that I also really enjoyed in comics. He did in the Action Comics 1000 special. He wrote the story about Superman coming back to Earth as the Earth was about to be destroyed. He was sent like millennia in the future, and it's him saying goodbye to the Kents one last time. Before the Earth just is destroyed, and it was beautiful. I really liked that one. And then the other one that they did was DC Comics Holiday Special. He wrote again a Sergeant Rock story that was a Hanukkah story, and it's really fucking good.
This is going to blow your mind here. Ready? Reference to something you said earlier.
People from space are called aliens.
There we go. Here's something with Tom King's writing. I'm gonna, I'd like to think Mo Biggs is making jokes, but he's not. This is really what it is. And then Mr. Miracle. Oh God. Okay, so I sneaked into the comic shop and read the last two issues of Mr. Miracle because
it's horrible.
If my LCS sells enough copies, he doesn't care. Okay, and he knows me well enough, and we get along. So. I read the last one. That if you haven't read that book, here's what it is: The Great Escape Artist is supposed to have had a near-death experience, and then
Yeah.
he's contemplating that in a depressed way as his mommy wife tries to get him off his ass to do things, including help negotiate peace for an interplanetary war somewhere across the galaxy, back at their
And
home
it's
world.
all an allegory for the fact that he committed suicide. It is a horrible,
Yeah.
horrible,
Well, not only
horrible.
did he commit suicide, but it's twice because the end of the book, wait, was his suicide supposed to be an accident?
No.
Okay, because I didn't, having not really finished the book, nor I didn't care enough to figure that part out. But at the very end, he basically figures out that he's dead, but not dead yet. So does he progress to being actually dead, or does he pull back because he has the option to being alive again? And that's the end of the book. Is I'm happy right here, so I'm gonna not just have one ball removed. I'm gonna have both balls removed and make no decision. A hero that makes no decision is what this story is. It's
I mean,
garbage.
look at Heroes in Crisis.
Yeah,
Everyone is just sad.
all the time.
There's no varying range of it. Everyone is the same level of sad, except Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman doesn't care about any of this. She sees it as pointless. And you know what? She's also the most meta character of this, because she's right. Heroes in Crisis is completely pointless.
Mhm.
It is a complete waste of an actually pretty solid concept. And I think that's another big thing. Is Tom King can come up with some pretty solid concepts. His delivery is shit. I remember when they were doing the promotion of I Am Suicide, the idea of Batman going to Amanda Waller and getting his own Suicide Squad to do a mission, that's fucking cool. Until you see the people that are in his fucking Suicide Squad and you go, why? Why the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
This is so anticlimactic. You have all these amazing Batman rogues or DC rogues that you could pull from. And you have the ventriloquist, Bronze Tiger, Joker and Harley Quinn knockoff type B, Catwoman, and I think there's one other one. Really?
I am so glad I skipped Heroes in Crisis. I'll get back to the chat for a second because I am completely lost. I think it'll catch on. Don't know what it is. Imprint of Me. Okay, so I think he's talking about his AR-15 orangutan.
Hell yeah.
Have a plan. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. People are going to love our giant size specials. I hope. I wonder if that's innuendo. Anyway.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's Mo.
Yeah. And looking at Jason Black here. Yeah, okay. So they're getting to some innuendo. Here we go. S matters because it stands for hope. I am way behind on this. The first time I've ever retracted a comment. Oh, he probably retracted the one I just showed. They stay in StreamYard. Hold up if being heavily supervised. If he is being heavily, he can actually handle it himself. Or he actually can't handle it himself. Yes, correct. He can't handle it.
You're not wrong.
He just gets depressed. Skipping that one. Let's see.
What was it?
Somebody I don't like to discuss anyway from View of Uranus at 11:10 p.m. So let's see. This started going quick. So okay, he spat his drink out. I don't know why. Instead of S, we could get rid of the letter Q. One piece of constructive criticism I gave Mike is to turn his statues into lamps, but he didn't do it. God, you got to appease the chat. Everyone needs a lamp.
Look, all right. It was expensive enough to do it as a fucking statue. All right, man.
Now, it's going to be mailed in pieces and needs to be glued together. Is that correct?
That is true.
Do they have little notches so that they fit together?
It's super easy to put together. The way that it is designed is to be very easily assembled. It took me like literally 5 minutes, if that.
Okay, with or without glue. And did you eat a crayon first?
With glue, no crayon. I'm not a Marine.
Okay, good. All right, we're good. I'm sorry. I guess I should call that taking your vitamin. But
Shit.
So that's the Marines take their vitamins and they get them out of a 64 box. So what kind of farm did you grow up on, Blue? I I have no idea where this question's coming from. So there's that. All right, so you started into Superman as a comic. What's up next? Hey, Darren. How you doing, Darren Wagner? Flipping through this. Everyone's saying hi to Darren. Oh God, have you ever seen Misfit Corner comics?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, he's a guy in Jacksonville. He runs in a like a flea market boutique. He has a shed in there because it's actually an indoor type thing, but he has turned it into what looks like a normal comic shop, and it's great. But his on his streams, his chat is so slow. He literally reads every single person in the chat. So one day I actually said in the chat, that's the big Black Cox comics. Okay, I thought that had to do with Jim Cox, but moving on. Dragging bulls around with tractors and shit. Oh, well, yes. Anyway, so that's what kind of farm I grew up on. Anyway, he had a chat that was so slow, and there were like 4 of us in it, and I just finally spoken up. So people are saying hi, and I said he's reading our hellos. Everybody say hi to each other one at a time, and everybody did it, and he kept reading them one at a time. So, hey, it filled the stream. Anyway, you jumped in on Peter Tomasi's Superman, but you were looking at writing before that because of your influence with Greek mythology growing up. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, like I'd always played around with stuff. One of the big things that I had when I was in my like second year of college was I was starting to write a reality-based retelling of the Trojan War that was inspired a lot by Bernard Cornwell's writing.
Okay.
And so I always loved telling stories. I always have. And that's always been there. But as I said, the big thing that really pushed me into, I guess, eventually, like it pushed me into what would eventually become my career as a creative writer in comics was writing that review for Tomasi's Superman Rebirth #2.
Mm-hmm. So did you want to go backwards into Superman much, or once you read Tomasi's stuff?
I've read most of his runs at this point.
Okay. And he got the character right. Did you read the Dan Jurgens Action comics at the same time?
Yes. No, I followed both of those religiously. I'm fairly certain I have every issue.
Okay. I'm seeing the artist can't draw for shit. Now what are we talking about? He just wants to bring up clocks. He's completely not
it's Dean talking shit about the Embrace.
about
Which is it's funnier because he's saying the artist can't draw for shit though, and he is the artist of that book.
He is the artist.
So.
Yeah. Okay. I gotta make a little bit less fun of Bancroft. Well, Bancroft's been practicing at this for a year. This is I don't. This is like my 5th live stream with a chat. So anyway, all right. So you didn't go backwards into Superman lore or anything like that.
I mean, I did. Like, I went back and I read a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
I think that you don't need to read every issue of Superman to understand what the fundamentals of his character are.
Mm-hmm.
There are iconic storylines that you can read and get that image from, things like, obviously All-Star Superman, Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb's Superman for All Seasons, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. You could go down an entire list. I've read a good chunk of prior Superman runs. I'm not going to claim that I've read every single issue of every run ever, because I don't think that there are many people that have done that. And I'm not going to claim something that I
Your microphone just popped and we can barely hear you. Or I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No, that's better. In fact, I
Um,
should definitely kill one of my security thingies here. Tends to get in the way. Okay.
point is that like I've gone back and I've read a whole bunch of stuff. I might not have hit every issue of every run ever, but I wanted to like reading the Tomasi Jurgens run was really when I really wanted to get as much Superman as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what caused me to go back. And yes, I suffered through mullet Superman. There's a lot of weird shit that happened in the late 80s, early 90s with Superman.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's fucking comic books for you. Some stuff sticks, some stuff doesn't.
Yeah, and let's see. Nerd is the word. That is Dean is telling us. I'm in the wrong window again. That All-Star Superman is the Superman story, and that was.
I would consider it the definitive one. Yes, like Batman has The Dark Knight Returns, Superman has All Star.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, Jason's not coming back. We're gonna miss him. I think that. There you go. Just so you guys know. I loved the Tomasi run and Jurgens stuff put together. I have a short box for just that run and a little bit of the end of New 52 that leads into it, like Lois and Clark, which I haven't even read yet, and the Convergence issues that I haven't read yet, even though I read Convergence. And it's all in one small box.
Is an arc that we can talk about because that's a steaming pile of shit.
Yeah. I just wanted the Superman relations to it. It's like this is supposed to the after ones are supposed to lead us into rebirth.
What's really funny? You know what's really funny about Convergence is that it's a perfect and like it is a perfect allegory for what Warner Brothers tried to have Snyder do with the MCU, except it was also in the comics. It was we need to catch up with what Jonathan Hickman was doing in his Avengers run with leading up to Time Runs Out that would lead into his version, his Secret War book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is literally the same fucking thing, except built over 5 issues, whereas Jonathan Hickman had been planning that shit out for like 3 to 4 years of storytelling.
Yeah,
so
he took time to plan. Hello, Jason Black. Glad you're back. I think you should know you're in good company. Mr. Struth is here, and your artist is still here. So you got that. Before we jump onto,
and I've got a stalker too. I got Hex Allen. He's apparently just stalking me across streams. He was watching me on CromCon here just an hour ago.
You know, if it's been long enough since your last date, take the stalkers as a compliment. So
hey, man, I'll take them where I get them.
So let's see.
Don't do any of the creepy stalker shit, okay, Hex?
Yeah, keep it calm, Hex. So where was I going with this? Oh yeah, Jurgens Tomasi. I keep their books along with the Super Sons run that was just great, actually in reading order. Where it's not exactly issue for issue, but it's arc for arc in just the order they came out in. And that one, if my apartment catches fire, I'm grabbing that short box. And people think like it's about the money. No, this is more than money. It's
beautiful. It's art, and you will respect it.
Yeah. Now, as far as writing goes, you say you were raised on Marvel more, or sorry, you were more into Marvel, not raised on. Excuse me.
Correct.
Okay, so because I really don't want to dip into Marvel too much, I want to move a little bit forward into your writing. So you're writing using all these mythological characters on one hand, and then you got another superhero book coming out on the other.
Yeah.
What really shaped you in terms of reading things to say, aha, that's how I have to do this, or I can do better, or things like that?
I think I don't think that there's a singular answer for that for me. I think that when it came down to things, you read a whole bunch of stuff and you kind of the stuff that you really enjoy influences you, and influences how you want to do concept work, and try and take something that you enjoyed and put your own spin on it to define it and make it something good, unique, and true to your own vision. So, like, Elysian Fields, and I've talked about this a lot, just started as a bunch of kids, nerdy ass fucking kids that were even worse off than Star Trek and Star Wars fans because we argued over mythology, which is already played out. And that's how it started. But over reworking concepts over and over in my head, there are certain things that obviously came to play with how I wanted to do that. I think one of the big things that aided in me creating this concept was seeing the anime Fate Zero, which I really enjoyed, and like the idea of having all these in Fate Zero, it's magicians summoning heroic champions of old to come and fight on their behalf.
Which sounds a little bit like using the heroic champions of old in not World of Warcraft, Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, like it's a similar kind of deal. But anyways, like that's where I got that from. We get inspired by the media that we consume and that we enjoy. For the embrace. And I straight up say this in my pitch when you're reading the book. There's a lot of influence from James O'Bare's The Crow. There's a lot of influence from Todd McFarlane and Robert Kirkman's Haunt. Both things that were books that I absolutely enjoyed. And yeah, there are other things that obviously play into that. My concept and my premise has its own individuality and what have you. But at the end of the day, again, we consume media and we reflect it back. And we tell stories that, yes, they have their own originality to them, but there's a basis for it that came from somewhere. And I don't think I could nail that down to one particular thing or another. It was just, I'd read a book and like that, whether it was a comic or whether it was a novel or anything like that. And I'd take those ideas and they'd all, in some way, shape, or form, help me create what I would create.
For me, and this is embarrassing. All right, I had ideas that I kept dropping out to a friend of mine, or I've dropped out two friends of mine and just said, "Oh, I thought of this thing." So I was sitting on the toilet one day because that's where ideas happen.
Yeah.
And some ideas are shit, but shit happens. Anyway, that comes aside. It's not funny. I'm deliberately unfunny. Mike Ogden is the Ezra Miller of this crew. Okay. There is no
I
Mike
don't know
Ogden.
how I feel about that.
You don't feel anything. There is no Mike. He's not talking about you. He's talking about Ogden, somebody. So
I'm fairly certain he's trying to say me, because I've had people misspell my last name as Ogden before.
Hey, if you dial the numbers in wrong, the missile hits the wrong place. It missed you.
I mean,
We're good.
that is true, but either way, not sure how comfortable I feel with being labeled the Ezra Miller.
Well, you don't even.
I don't go on drunken rampages and choke out chicks in an alley. So,
yeah. Happy birthday, Hex Allen, for anyone who missed it. Let's see. Where the hell was I? ADD is a beautiful drug, isn't it? I can't remember what I was saying a minute ago. Grown ass boy. Okay. As opposed to a breast boy, I guess. Let's see. The Crow influences things to make you happy. Where were we? I haven't seen Ian Franklin post in a little while, so there's that. What do we got? Mike, what was I saying before I started reading happy birthday and insults to you?
I just love the fact that Mo just said Blue has a point. Me not caring how to spell your name is a compliment. Fair enough, man.
Oh my gosh. Todd Struth, welcome to the ADD club. There's a few of us in here. There's at least 4 of us on the channel now.
Well, there's definitely 2 of us talking on the stream. So,
So as far as writing influence, oh yeah, okay. So I was sitting on the pot and I thought of a very bad and almost insulting pun for something, and I can't really say what it was, but to make the pun make sense, it needs context. And so I gave it a little bit of context, and that started to spring into a story. So I came back to my roommate at the time. If anybody's heard me talk about Dofter, that's the dude I was sharing an apartment with at the time. And I said, Dofter, I just thought of this thing, and laid it out for him. And I started to say, well, it would need this, it would need that. So I'm pitching a story to him, but it's incomplete. And I'm seeing, in order for one thing to happen, the other thing is needed, blah, blah, blah. And he started to tell me, the way you talk, this should be written out as a screenplay, not as a novel or anything like that. But he really wanted me to flesh things out, not flush things out. That's clearing a pipe. Flesh things out with an E is how you build on something. Please stop screwing that up and save the English language. Anyway, he encouraged me to get to writing. And so months later, in January 2018, I decided that, like in college, we had to do the American short story. I was going to go back to that source, and I said, comic books. That's the way to go. So I started looking into comic books. Jump ahead a few months, Comicsgate is there, and in April of 2018, I get into Comicsgate. But as that aside, I started trying to catch up with what the hell is this New 52 thing that every book has a label on in all the back issues. I had no idea what was going on in the DC universe. It had been 16 years since I touched a comic book. And then I started reading. Now here's the whole reason I'm telling you this is I really appreciate everything I've learned from everybody. Depending on the website, Flesh Things Out and Flesh Things Out are the same thing. Gross. Thank you, Michael T. Anyway, I am really glad for everything I've learned from just even listening to you on Shay's stream, Michael, or anybody in terms of art or writing, because when I read Convergence, I didn't think it was horrible, and now I'm afraid to go back and reread it because I might think it's horrible.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah, it just seemed like a utility story.
Literally, the fucking Silver Surfer.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The villain that they go up against in that is literally, it's pretty much the exact story as the Silver Surfer, except nowhere near as cool in either design or concept.
Yeah, the whole thing seemed like a series of utilities. For this guy's a utility for Brainiac, and it's like, okay,
that's literally what he was.
This
also, Mo Biggs is saying that I should have that on my tombstone one day I should have just made the damn lamp. And you know what, Mo Biggs, one of these days, I'm gonna if I ever figure out which backer you are on my thing, I'm going to have a shitty lamp just mailed to you and say fuck off and have your lamp, and then you won't be able to do this shit to me anymore. But
what's this? I convinced some guys in YouTube's chat that I didn't strangle women. Mo Biggs. No, he didn't. He didn't convince us. Thank you, Mo.
Oh man, it really feels good to get this kind of ribbing. It's good times. But anyways,
you put out a book, so
I did. Huh? I did do that.
Where is for me a big thing was character consistency, because it's one of those things I always took for granted and never thought about. So for you, and Smiling Bandito told me, be careful if you ever tell your own anecdotes while doing these interview type things, because you never make yourself the hero of the stream. It's always the guest. Diminish yourself, raise the guest. Sorry about that. So for me, a big thing that I never thought about that's deadly important is character consistency, especially in terms of each character having a separate voice, so they're not all just one person.
Right.
And those things are incredibly valuable. But as far as just understanding what a true hero is, I found Professor Geek and his crew to be really valuable. I mean, that kicked my ass early on in 2018 to say, wow, I needed a clue. Where you've got Pyramid Gambit coming out soon, and
Mhm.
it's gonna. I mean, you've pushed the button already. It's gonna end. It could take up to 48 hours to happen. Smiling Brandito had to tell you that. Quiet Hex. so, so anyway,
I like Bo Biggs's accusation that I'm going to write a book on that's a retelling of Aladdin with no lamp. And you know what? I'm going to make that as a fucking stretch goal story on the Embrace now, you dick. I'm going to
that is
do that just to spite you.
yeah. Go look up the old
The Mo Biggs story.
Go look up the old, actual tale from the Arabian Nights and rewrite it in prose and just slap it on as 3 extra pages in the back. For with love for Mo Biggs.
Erase all the instances with a lamp and have them have to freaking juggle around it in some way.
Okay, so you've got the book is closing as soon as the automated crap in Indiegogo flushes through. So I'm wondering, like, can you give us a little bit more about how you incorporated the real ideas of hero or other major concepts into writing this for who are these guys?
So the big thing that I wanted to do when I was handling Pyramid Gambit was this book does a lot as far as setting stakes and establishing universe rules, and so there's a lot of exposition in that regard. That doesn't mean I'm taking away any of the action or what have you. All that's there, but we had to establish rules of the universe, and so that's a lot of what gets established there. But when it came down to writing the characters and what have you, it was all about portraying the character egos based off of how I saw them from their myths,
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing was kind of showcasing and creating character dynamics, because it's a team book. It's not just, you can't just write it from the standpoint of, oh, I need to portray the heroic attributes of a single character. You have, yes, Achilles is our protagonist, but there are two other members of Team Hades that we have to push as well. And so it's all about creating their collective character dynamics. So I mean, you've got, Achilles, who is a brash young hothead, and then you've got Heracles, who is probably got the biggest head in terms of ego of the team, and then you've got Theseus, who's kind of the sit back and watch kind of dude, and is the thinker.
Okay.
And so the big thing is kind of using those character dynamics to create an authentic team feel for when the book really starts to pick up and go forward.
Now in archetypes, there's a 4 character archetype where everybody is represents kind of earth, air, fire, and water, where water I think is the emotional center. So on Stargate, which I know you absolutely love because you never watched it, so I'm going to keep referring to it. It's the one thing you don't know. So, like the only thing you don't know.
It is probably my weakest suit of the entire thing that we talked about. So yes.
People ask me, like, wars or Trek, Star Wars, Star Trek. They're like, wars or Trek. And I finally, because I discovered Stargate like 3 years ago, I finally get to say gate. And they just look at me like, what? Anyway, so the scientist character who's not military, he's, water, the emotional center of the team, that kind of thing. So did you rely in writing on using a 3-man archetype, or did you focus more on, because you can do archetypes, you can do story arcs, you can do both. What were you focusing more on when you developed the story?
I don't know how I would describe it. Like,
Or what tools did you use?
The big thing that I did was, I mean, you have like your standard character archetypes in a team. You've got like your protagonist, Lancer, the brain, every like in that's generally where I kind of went. Whereas that you'd have your side character that was in direct competition of the main character, and they would constantly kind of butt heads. And sometimes you would even be unsure as to whether who was the protagonist or not. Okay. And then you've got like the thinker who's there to kind of analyze situations and what have you. And so those are the kind of things that I focused on. But when it came down to writing those characters, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, who's going to have, it's a team. They're getting together for the first time. There are going to be issues. There's going to be struggles. So who is going to hate each other the most? And the obvious answer is you've got a kid that calls himself the best of the Greeks, and then you have literally the most iconic Greek hero that ever was. And so they don't like each other. To put it mildly, Heracles literally shows up, and within the first panel that Heracles is in the book, tries to kill Achilles.
Great, because that's just productive.
It's literally just a flex. It's like you're trying to claim yourself as the best of all of the Greeks. Well, okay, that's my title, so we have an issue. But
it's not Clash of the Titans, but the Titan egos is
absolutely. And it's also really interesting because both of them also studied under the same trainer, and that does kind of provide a little respite for them. But there's going to be continued character conflict because of the egos that both of these characters have. And then you have Theseus, who's kind of just stuck with these effectively two kids. And Theseus is the only mature one,
which is
with a level head on him. And it's also a big thing where he's also the only one of them that's not a demigod.
Okay.
Theseus, Achilles is the son of Thetis, an immortal sea nymph. Heracles is the son of Zeus, the king of the Olympians. Theseus is none of those things.
So he's herding two angry tigers.
So he's literally stuck with these people that while they were alive were nothing short of gods. And then there's him. And so these guys are like, oh yeah, we'll take on all the crazy odds. And he's just kind of like, how about not? Why do we got to do this the hard way?
Okay, I got to spank the chat a little bit. Jason Black, we're talking about the characters in Michael Oden's book that's closing on Indiegogo right now. It uses Greek mythological characters in his story.
It uses mythological characters from across the world. The protagonists are from Greece.
Nerd is the word is lying to us.
And Nerd is the word tried to correct me and say that it was Hercules. So here's a fun little tidbit for you. Hercules is the Latin pronunciation of it, which means that it's fake. It's literally the Romans just trying to copy Greek culture and make it their own. So, no. But we are talking about my book.
All right, what does this say? Henry Cavill was in one of those Greek movies, right?
Yeah, he was in The Immortals, and he plays. I think it's. Funnily enough, I actually think it's supposed to be Theseus. Let's double check on that.
Do I have to? Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard of this book before. Isn't it usually paired with clips from the movie Troy? Well, this is a low preparation.
I was right.
Yeah, he played Theseus.
Theseus.
Did he have to slay a minotaur? I skipped that film if I remember correctly because it looked cheesy
It's
as all
not
get out.
great. It's got Mickey Rourke as the bad guy. I don't even know. I don't even think that he was playing King Minos.
Oh,
Yeah,
Todd's Truth.
he plays King Hyperion because that's a thing.
Okay. Todd's Truth. The Romans did a lot. Yeah, they stole from everything and renamed it. Actually,
their culture wasn't actually theirs; it was somebody else's.
It's funny though. If you trace, you can trace all the parallels of just how people kind of sloppily borrow things. You know, in terms of you had Egyptian and I want to say Ishtar, but that's wrong. Babylonian, and then Chaldean, which is sub-Babylonian. But the Chaldeans were the real fire worshippers. But the what is Zoroastrians came out of them. Anyway,
to answer Hex Allen's question, I have not heard about Eddie Campbell's Bacchus, but that does sound really cool. The big thing mythology related in comics that I have read that I really enjoy is Lore Olympus. I am sure that there is someone in this chat that will give me an ungodly amount of shit for liking a romantic soap opera on comic on Webtoon, but the art is pretty. It feels like a mixture of modern cartooning and classical Greek artwork, and I like the take on Hades and Persephone in the book. So yeah, I'll stand by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they all stole from each other because it was all nobody really cared, to be honest. Where are we? I missed one. There it is. Go ahead, Michael.
So for the record, Elysian Fields looks great, and it has patches. It does have patches, and in fact,
batches of patches.
Yeah.
Ah, the light, it burns.
So this is support our troops tier, which we raised $450 for the support our troops tier. It was a big deal.
Wait, can you hold it up again?
Yeah, I can do the thing.
I found the button.
So it's the Moulin Labe,
huh.
And Cerberus on there. The support our troops tier also comes with a challenge coin that's got the same insignia on it. It's just in full color. It's very pretty. I'm really excited to get those in here in the next few weeks. But yeah,
cool. Did we show this already?
Yeah, that's not true. So you'd have to catch him, and good luck.
Talk to us about
he literally killed enough people to fill a river with bodies and wake the river god up, and then drew the river god.
Jeez,
not a lot of people doing that shit.
Now, I don't know why Jason's sending this to it. Either I missed it in the chat or you know why this is here.
I think that he's going back into the whole Heracles versus Hercules thing. I'm not sure.
Now, I first learned it as Hercules. Why did I learn it wrong?
Dragon Ball Z?
Okay. All right. Not into that in grade school.
I guess.
We're not going to figure it out. So, all right. So then, what's your goal with the
Mobigs? Fair enough, man.
So what's your goal with the next book? It is very different, but there's still a hero element to it. Talk to us about that.
So one of the things that we as creatives do is we take a lot of the shit that we deal with and use creation as a outlet to stay sane. And so this is kind of my effort to do that. I've talked about it on stream before. So I don't really care about putting it out there, but I've been going through a divorce over the past. I've separated, and then we're going through a divorce, and it's been getting uglier over the past few months. I won't get into too much on that, but a lot of the negative emotions were building up, and so that's kind of where I came up with this concept of the embrace. And so I've always really enjoyed James O'Barr's The Crow.
Right.
And I've also been a huge fan of this book called Haunt, which was written by Robert Kirkman, and the character designs and everything were done by Todd McFarlane.
Oh.
And
Haunt, that is, okay.
Yeah, and the big thing that I really liked about that whole concept was the spirit of the brother acting as almost like a symbiote to protect him. And I've got a son, and so it was this whole thing where when you don't have your kid around like you used to, you kind of have this whole feeling of loss. And so the idea of having this character lose his son, and then his son's spirit is protecting his father in the form of this suit, felt really appealing. And so I kind of went with that. And that's how this whole thing got created. And so that's kind of the direction that we're going, is this story of justice and dealing with loss, and exploring the relationship between a father and son. And I don't think it's a comic I could have written without any of these circumstances having happened. But it's easily one of my favorite scripts that I've read, and I'm really excited. Nerd is the word. Dean James, and he is the artist on the book. He's done a tremendous job so far on these character concepts. We've got a man called Kimasabi is doing our editing on that book, and we're going to be hopefully sitting down by the end of the week to go through the script and get everything ironed out so that we can start on these interiors and hopefully have the campaign running by March to April timeframe. It will just depend.
Now, is this intended to be several graphic novels? And let's call an issue 20 to 24 pages. Or
I am expecting it to be anywhere between 10 and 15 issues, and it will be a limited series.
Okay,
and that's at max.
And since you're doing campaigns for it, would it be like 2 or 3 issues per campaign?
It's one issue, especially for right now. It'll just be the first issue, and we'll likely do it as that and keep it at that, because that way we can keep also the cost. Like, I think one of the big things that contributed to our success on the first book was the fact that it was an affordable product. It's $10. It's not a big deal, and so we're doing this first issue of the Embrace is 30 plus pages of story. And then we have as a stretch goal towards the end is I'm looking at doing a small little short story that plays into the main story of the book as an add-on. But yeah, not like the idea is that this would be a single issue. We have, Dean James is, as I said, again, doing that line work. We have Avery Ferdinand is doing our color work. Clayton and Corey Barton from How to Draw Comics are doing our variant. We have Jim O'Reilly is doing a pinup for us, and we have some other pretty exciting announcements that I cannot make about it just yet because the details need to be ironed out. But we've got a lot of stuff going on with that as well.
So we're starting with just a floppy, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, and that's the thing, is that it's also not like the zero issue where it's going to feel like it's going to be a bit short and abrupt. This is a full-on first part of the story of the embrace. We have a lot of exciting stuff planned for it. I'm really excited to get this first book out to people. I think that what me and Dean and everyone are going to be bringing to the table on this is really just going to blow people away.
Cool. So this is a father and son story because the son is spiritually entangled with the costume, as you said.
Yeah. So the suit is David's spirit, the son.
I'm sorry. I say costume, you say suit. There was a discussion amongst the weightlifters the other day that if anyone ever refers to you as wearing an outfit, you are no longer a man. So we'll stick to suit. Okay.
Point is that the whole point is that effectively the son is saving his dad. You know, like the dad lost his kid. Justice wasn't going to be done, and he was losing a lot of hope. And so David's come to restore that hope and help bring these people to justice.
Now, initially, it sounds like the villains are his son's killers. But
yes.
Beside that, and the desire to bring them to justice, are there going to be other villains over the 15 issues, or are we really focused on this story?
So David was murdered in a gang initiation. And so as they climb up the ladder of the gang, they'll be taking care of like other criminals and what have you as well.
Okay.
But this is a limited series, it is far more focused. Like the whole point at the end of the day is to bring these people to justice. And for Clarence, the main character, his arc is going to be around learning how to let go. And that maybe having David around for this isn't in David's best interest. I would say if you're looking at who the hero of this book is, it's undoubtedly David.
Okay. Now, we have to be careful of spoilers only because Dean says so.
Well, I'm not going into any. I'm just going through the themes of the book.
Okay.
But and Dean knows this, but David is the light of this story. He really is, in every sense of the word. He's, children are the best parts of us. And so there's that element for David was that for Clarence, and now that David's gone, Clarence feels lost. And when he's back and he's in the costume, he's also this sense of joy. He also brings this sense of joy to this otherwise bleak atmosphere. Because he's a 10-year-old kid who's being a superhero with his dad.
Yeah.
And after all, who could want what else could you want?
Well, it seems like you've taken influence from Pillowman and Blanket Boy on one hand, but then on the other, you've heard of that, right?
I have.
It's an Indiegogo book from Comicsgate. It's in the mail right now.
I'll have to go check that out. But
now I wish I got more copies. I could just send you one. But anyway, I got all the variant covers for him, so I want to be supportive. So yeah, I'll color in one of the line art variants for you with my crayons, and then I'll send that to you. So let's see. Okay, here's one for you.
Yeah, I saw. Needs to learn to go of his stubbornness and give people what they want. Elysian lamps and plenty of them. I swear, I'm going to put it on a campaign, and it's going to be a secret perk only for Mo, and it's literally just going to be Elysian lamp, and I'm just going to buy a cheap ass lamp from the dollar store,
mm-hmm.
Write Elysian Fields on the lampshade, and send it to him, just as a fuck you. It will be the only one. Well, the only one I'll be able to get.
Take a little sandpaper and put a rubbed in mark on it, so everybody knows this is where it was rubbed 20,000 times.
day one backers only. It's funny. So funny story. So Dean sends me the concept art of the Embrace, and I'm getting colored by Avery. And so I'm looking at it after Avery sent it to me, and my son comes up to me and comes to sit up on my lap, and then sees the design, goes, "Oh, scary!" and then runs away.
That's actually really cute. So Pillow Man and Blanket Boy was a father and son project. The son really came up with it, and it took years to come out. So I think the son is like 13 to 15 right now. He might be 13, and that's it. But it really is just an imaginative superhero thing, sort of like that. But also, and I forget the other thing I was actually, I make the side comment first, and then I can't remember what I really was going to get into. Hi, Felix. How you doing? It's good to see you.
Pull up Mo Biggs's comment that's there, and you'll know exactly which one I'm fucking talking about. It's right below the topic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No, Mo, I'm not saying fuck you to fans. I'm saying fuck you to you, personally. Harping on me about the fucking layout.
That and I don't think the only thing that keeps you from cussing is your son. So he's kind of your protective armor. He protects all of us from you. So, anyway, I'm doing the Bandito thing wrong again. Sorry about that. So anyway, the other thing with that was, are you planning on having any major gimmicks in your? Oh, we lost somebody. Okay, are you planning on having any major gimmicks in your whatchamacallit, your covers?
Like how do you mean gimmicks?
Oh, like that sandy stuff that glows in the dark being sprinkled over the costume on your hero, and
foil stuff or anything like that.
Sorry,
like doing like a holofoil kind of cover again.
Yeah, are you going to keep it basic and affordable, or are you going to try and go broke on giving us the moon?
So the way that I'm looking at it right now is depending on how Corey's colors come out, if they lend themselves, because like, all right, you can't just make a holofoil cover off of anything. You can't. There are, the holofoil cover worked really well with the Zero issue because of how the colors worked on that cover. And the way that the magma pattern caught the light on those colors makes a difference. It really does. It's part of that experience. So depending on how those colors come out will depend on if I decide to do like a holofoil thing. But otherwise, the covers for that edition of the book, which will be a special edition with like all the character concepts, behind the scenes stuff, will be like 105 point cardstock cover.
Okay.
So it'll feel like a collector's item still, but like it won't necessarily have a holofoil. It won't necessarily have like the holofoil, like the Zero issue, because I'm not just going to make something holofoil for the sake of it. It does need to be something that lends itself to holofoil. Okay. What's up, Smiley?
Hail and Wilmette. How are you guys doing tonight?
Stuttering in spurts. How are you? Glad you're here.
I'm doing good. What's this I hear about you doing something, the Bandito thing wrong? What's this?
Oh, I exposed to the chat earlier because I just ran off on my own anecdote and blathered while I have a guest here, which is stupid. And I was trying out all my interview skills and ask a deeper question and redirect and all that. And then realizing that I just paralleled him by taking the spotlight. I told the chat about the Bandito advice of always elevate them and de-escalate yourself when necessary, bring the insults to your, blah, blah, blah. So I was saying, and then I just told a joke to him a minute ago and realized it was a little bit of a put down. And so it's like, I'm failing the Bandito school of interviews. So there we are.
Really quick. So Mo is saying Felix not having a wrench is costing Mike sales, but there's also a downside. So eat a dick, Mo. And
That took me a minute to get.
He also said, "Blue wants you to read the comments, Ogden. Take a hint." Well played there, Bo. You're a real team player. Good stuff.
He's always looking
God.
out. He's always looking out for the interview and making sure that the interview is elevated. It's his gift.
Well, that
It's
and
his
it was
gift
Jason. I told Jason complained too. I told him I'm just slow, but Felix has his default wrench now. I thought
Ooh.
I thought the Felix account got a wrench on every channel, no matter where he went. Just like I thought YouTube put that in the algorithm. But
yeah,
no.
Felix brings his own wrench to the chat. Yeah. But
Is that legit? I wouldn't be surprised.
well, there's got to be something on the back end that YouTube can do. And if they're going to do it for anybody, it would be for Felix.
Skip east of Germany.
Skip saying something in chat. Oh, where's Poland? East of Germany. For now anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That is fair.
So I'm just catching up. You're coming out with a new campaign. Is that what's happening with Elysian Fields, or is this a new book?
So what's going on right now is I have hit the I have opted out of the in demand. So over the next 2 days will be the last chance for people to purchase to get Pyramid Gambit through the Indiegogo.
Gotcha.
And then what we're also talking about is I have an upcoming project called The Embrace that we have started the mailing list sign up page for. And so that is the other thing that we were talking about.
Gotcha. Well, that's exciting stuff. How many books are you looking to put out this year? Is it just
so right now the goal is we have to fulfill Pyramid Gambit, and so I won't be launching the next one until at the very least I have that fulfilled. I'm not going to be that person. Like I'm not one to put out another campaign before while people are waiting on books.
Right. Having said that,
the idea would be is I would do this, fulfill Elysian Fields, and then the Embrace and fulfill that. If I can do another one, I will. If I can't, we'll hold off.
Right, for sure. Yeah, it's a tough deal. Trying to get more than one book out a year is, it's a lot of work, and we all know that this isn't just this isn't our first jobs. So, but the payout when you do see the fans getting something that you've created is definitely worth all the time and energy that we end up putting into it. So, I heard you kind of talking about the main characters and stuff, but you have some established villains in your book now, right? Like some guys that have been
in Elysian Fields.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. So like there is a underlying presence of there is somebody that won the tournament before that is the current seat holder, but he hasn't really been established yet. It's kind of there in the background. Remember, so we had a 0 issue, and so this is technically issue 1.
Mm-hmm.
So this for the antagonizing force of this first arc is Team Osiris, and they get really established in this book, and we get to see the beginnings of Team Hades going up against Team Osiris, and so like that's the whole thing. It's a tournament book, so like the main overarching villain is something that I'm building up over time. Like there's going to be somebody, and there is somebody that won the tournament before that is the current seat holder, but we don't know who it is just yet. I've talked about it, but
right. When you say that this is a tournament book, does that mean it's like Hunger Games if Hades and Osiris weren't little kids out killing each other?
Yeah, like think more in the style of like think more in the style of like anime tournament stories. So like if you look at like Yu Yu Hakusho with like the demon tournaments and what have you, where you have teams of fighters that are going up, except it's not usually like one-on-one. It's a full-on battle royale in the arena. And
so does this mean that the real villains are going to end up being like the beings that put on the tournament? Is there going to be like...
No, because like everyone is kind of everyone is kind of tethered to this tournament as like a rule of celestial order to uphold this thing, and the next ruler of the underworld is who wins. But like the villains, how to go into that? It's less like, about their villains and more about them having opponents to go up against. And there's a lot of...
So the winners become the ruler of the underworld?
So Hades is the deity that they are representing. So I guess in a way Hades is an antagonist because he's manipulating them.
As Hades is wont to do.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, I don't want to spoil anything that I happen to know behind the scenes, Bandito, but because it's every mythology, they're all kind of villains to each other. However, it sounds like some of this next story is going to be you are your own worst enemy.
Oh my goodness.
And that also is a big playing factor into it. And I've said it on a few streams, but Achilles' whole narrative throughout this story is the person that he wants to be versus the person he's always been.
Yes.
This is the version of the character from like effectively post Iliad and during the Odyssey, where he doesn't really want to fight anymore.
Kind of a finding your core kind of.
Yeah, like his whole goal is to get back to Patroclus and have a life of peace. But being in this tournament, fighting these opponents unlike anything that he's ever dealt with, the ugly side of him that was a hound for glory starts to rear its ugly head. And so the question will be, by the end of the story, he's going to have a choice where Hades is promised to grant him his greatest desire. So what's that desire going to be at the end of the book?
Is it? That's always like a monkey's paw type thing when you get your greatest desire. So that's cool. Now I'm probably making you repeat everything that you've already just gone. Like you guys have been on for like almost 2 hours now. So I'm probably just making you repeat everything that you've already told the chat.
You're all good, Smiley.
We're going until he passes out and exits the camera view, and then I'm just cutting the stream.
Gotcha. We killed him on set, and we're just gonna
leave it hang
around here. Yeah.
I've been accused of doing ASMR, but no, I am not licking my microphone. So
yeah, you got like super sultry there for a second as you're like talking about stuff behind the scenes. Like
I meant to be like telling a secret, not telling a sexy.
Yeah, I didn't know what direction it was going to go, but thankfully it was one that we all benefited from, and as opposed to how disastrous it could have been.
Mo, it wasn't a fact that I wasn't that I was ignoring you. I was just trying to answer Smiley's question to the best of my abilities. I see your stuff in the chat, and fuck you very much with the this is a take to light bulb done. He'll sit in the dark just to spite me. So
yeah.
Good job, Mo. Good man.
Well,
it
if
sounds
he,
like
if he correctly called that one out, then you only got yourself to blame.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh,
So, what are you looking forward to in 2021 as far as books coming out in Comicsgate? Who's caught your eye?
So right now I'm waiting on a whole bunch of books that I'm excited for to fulfill. I mean, Bancroft's Loose and Salt has been in the top of that list. That's really excited for.
We're probably never going to get that. He's in a constant cycle of re-improving. He's like, oh, I learned a new thing, and then he has to do it on every single page.
Oh, well, in addition to the very, very few things that what's his name, Joe, is making him change on every single page. You know,
Yeah,
3 per page.
And I'm just kidding.
Come out.
It's in its final form right now.
Kozor, I'm really excited for.
Oh yeah.
Fatal is another one I'm really pumped for. Battle Brick Road.
Yeah, Snogans has really been a surprising talent. Watching some of his stuff come out right now, and they just got Camel Moon on that project as well. He's going to be doing all the color. So, I mean, if this guy, the biggest grifter of CG, has grifted himself into one of the best books in CG, and that's going to be an amazing combination. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. But yeah, no, I think those are like the top 3. Sins of the Fae also looks really cool.
Oh yeah, with Xevious and Buddy Lord. Yeah, that team, they've really centered on how they want to do stuff now. They had a little bit of a hiccup in some of the production work, and they brought it back around, and Xevious is putting out some really cool pieces now.
And that was the whole thing, is I saw Buddy for the first time in like months last night on stream. And he was telling me about what was going on, and it was super fucked. But like the new art direction, I love it even more than what it was before. Like, it's gorgeous. Yeah. Like, it's absolutely stunning, and it has like a real like Neil Gaiman Sandman vibe to it.
Xevious has such a cool style, and he's done a lot of production work behind the scenes for Comicsgate. Most people actually have his work on their shelf right now, who are in Comicsgate, and they don't even know it. Yeah. So he's also going to be doing the logos for my books for Black as yeah. So
I feel like I need to add a fuck Mo Lamp tier to Elysian Fields, even though
make it 2.
Yeah, there's
2 fuck Mo Lamp tiers.
It's going to be in high demand from what the chat says here. There's a lot of several people want it now.
It'll literally be like a copy of the book, no lamp, and a fuck Mo Biggs letterhead or some shit.
There you go. Yeah, I'll take 7.
It'll start like one of those turkey hams, but you put the fingers together, draw around that, and then turn it into a drawing of a lamp, and it says "rub here" on it.
So, and I hear Nerd is the word. Dean is on your. He's doing the line work
stuff here. Let me actually pull up.
Yes, absolutely.
He's doing our pencils and inks, and then we've got Avery Ferdinand is doing our colors.
Oh, that's something I wanted to ask you a minute ago. I've heard that name before. I think did he do work for Luke?
He might have. I know that he's the colorist on Operation Eclipse. He's the colorist on Harlan Buck Free Sword. He's on a whole bunch of stuff. He's a really, really talented colorist. He does phenomenal work.
I got to look that up. See who did alternate covers for Luke.
Yeah, so I've got that in the share screen.
Oh, hey. Oh, paying attention is great. Okay.
Only one of us has to pay attention at any time.
Banned from
next-
studio. This is not working right. Oh, add to stream. There we go.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that's the actual concept. And then here, let me pull up the cover of the book, the main one. It's a nice
I
little.
did not get to look at that for long enough. What the heck?
Wait, yeah,
Oh.
put it back. Put it back.
Bring up your other one behind the scenes, and then when we're ready to switch over, we'll let you know.
All right.
Waiting. Hey,
That looks
this is
yeah.
We got dead air. Unbelievably, the air has been killed.
That's okay. We can be quiet. Just three of us hanging out.
Real friends don't always need to talk.
That's true. It's true.
I've got both of them ready here. So
I have nothing to click on. There we are. Add to stream.
Oh, cool.
Who did your logo?
I did.
Okay.
That's really cool. I really like that lettering in the way that you've put that on there. I'm on my phone, so I'm trying to zoom in on all of this. Oh yeah, that's really cool. Oden, James, Ferdinand, and Ezke. Ezke, I've seen his stuff somewhere else. Where was I just
Yeah,
seeing it?
he's the writer for Terra Olympus,
Right. Yes. Yeah.
and he's been doing a lot of letter work. He took over because Luke gave up lettering since he became the editor-in-chief at Terraform.
Mm.
And so he took over Luke's spot on Elysian Fields, and I really I like working with the guy. So figure why mess with something that works.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's the cover, and then I'm gonna bring it back to the other concept art so you can get a chance to actually look at that smiley.
Now, okay, I got it. Adrian Fernandez or Ferdinand?
It's
'Cause I got-
Avery.
Avery. Okay, totally different person. Adrian Fernandez did variant covers for Luke Stone's hybrids.
Yes. Where did
Avery-
Smiley?
Avery Ferdinand is totally different. Oh, he's gone. He might have had to leave.
He's on his phone. He probably just had a goof up.
Yeah.
Because if he
Phone's
had to
easier.
go, no.
Device is not connected. Area. Oh, okay, we're saved. He's back.
Hail and well met.
Hail and well met, Smiley. And then Blue, I just pulled up that concept again so that Smiley can get a chance to actually.
I did not boot him, I swear.
Will, you doing okay there, Smiley?
We'll make it. Yeah, we'll make this work eventually. Don't worry.
Hail and well met.
Hail and well met.
But anyways, here you go, Smiley. This is the character concept.
Very cool. Yeah, I really like that. I like Dean James's work enough so that I've actually got him doing some work on Black as Hell as well.
That's awesome. And we were actually about that earlier because he's trying to make sure that he's able to do my book and your book and the other stuff that in conflicts. So we were discussing that. But yeah, the first draft of the script's already done. We've got a man called Kimasabi is doing our editing. And so he's going to be. He says that he should be able to have that finished by the end of the week, and then we're going to sit down and go through and talk about the edits, get everything ironed out, and then have Dean start.
That's super cool. Yeah,
No,
we'll have to make sure that he's never too far away from his drafting table.
Smiley, did you see the Clayton Barton cover that he did for us on that?
No, let's bring that up and
Actually,
give it
we have a
some
question first while you're looking for it about Elysian Fields. The Pyramid Gambit doesn't allow an add-on of another cover.
credit.
Is it the main one does?
It doesn't officially. If you want to do 2 covers, just donate the extra amount, and then shoot me a message on your backer from your backer thing to let me know which cover that you want, and I'll add it to my list. That's too easy.
So still have to do 2 transactions, but you don't pay the extra shipping.
Yeah.
Okay. Got that, Shane? Nerd is the word. Okay, something about that outfit, costume, suit. The suit he's got already. About the there we go. The ribs look like they have a hand on them.
They do. That's intentional.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got 2 hands going over the shoulders and 2 hands coming up, like for, I don't know, is it like cupping his boobs or something, or grabbing his
looked
something like that?
It's supposed to embody kind of being like hugged. I was kind of inspired by if anyone here plays Dark Souls, there's a character called Lautrec who has a armor set called the Armor of the Embraced. And so it looks like somebody is hugging him across his torso. And that's kind of what we wanted to go for.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
It looks like
very cool.
if you lower the hand a little bit so it doesn't look like it's cupping around the pec exactly, minor improvement. That's all I'm saying. Minor.
You hear that, Dean?
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, good. This isn't your artwork. We can rip into it like no other. It's Dean's.
No, it's not Dean's work. This is
like the whole idea is that it's activated by them, by the father and the son.
Cool. Yeah. So Dean, stop with the nipple cupping, and this portrait, on the other hand, is excellent.
Stay away from the nipples, Dean.
So was this Clayton Barton or Corey Barton? I'm a little mixed up.
This was Clayton, and Corey is going to be doing the colors.
Nice.
Very cool.
Well,
yeah, you got a good team for this project. Yeah.
Welcome to Jim Cox. He missed a whole bunch of stuff at the beginning of the stream.
But
he even missed me making you guys repeat it all.
Yeah, well, not just that, but there was a gigantic.
Genuinely asked a question that I had not been asked on the stream yet, so you're good.
Yeah, it's what I do. It's what I do. It's what I'm here for.
Mm-hmm.
He says they're on the ribs, and that is true. Like, it's I feel bad because I know how difficult that was to draw, because I've tried to draw it on my own after seeing him do it, and it is a pain in the ass.
Okay, wait a minute. This may be everything moved. They're on the ribs blue up above. It said they're also functional. Now I can't find that one. Because it's made of ghosts. Yeah, I got that one. Good day, Shane, to Jason, blah blah blah. Okay. What was the question? ADDs. Yeah, they're also functional. Wait, so the hands like pop out from his ribs to grab things?
Yes. Both the hands on his collarbone and the hands that are there will go and grab things and stuff like that.
Okay, that is creepy. Just creepy.
It's supposed to be.
So you're trying to fight this dude. He's wrestling you to the ground, and suddenly he has extra hands tickling you on top of that. That's just...
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I heard the Superman stuff, but I'm not into it. Yeah. There are certain Superman things we're not into either. So. The vectors in anime, Elfin. Have you heard of this one, Elfin Lied?
Yes, I have heard of it. Everyone tells me that I need to go watch it. It is on my list. I literally just keep getting preoccupied with other stuff, but it is on the list. That one and Valhalla something I'm liking.
Okay, so apparently Nerd is the word thinks that Dean thinks we're going too far and that we've got spoilers. Well, with Bandito gone, there's no one here to talk to us about Black is the new hell or whatever.
Calm down, because people want to know how his powers work. So I gotta kind of explain that. I'm not going into full details of anything, but the hands and the costume do stuff.
Like tickle you.
We're gonna have that happen just for you. He's gonna tackle somebody to the ground, and then the hands are gonna come out and tickle someone.
Just for me. All right, now here's the big question.
Fuck off, Mo.
Can he just turn his powers on and off like a lamp? I appreciate Ben. Huh?
Like, you know what? No, I can't talk about that actually. So that one I won't answer.
So how are you going to be juggling this against whatever comes after Pyramid Gambit? Because you're publishing Pyramid Gambit. It's finally going to print soon. You got to get through the whole pre-press, and you have multiple versions because there's the thick version in the hardcover, and then there's the thinner versions in the multiple covers. So that's two different versions there of the guts, the internals. And so you've got that and all the work going into that while developing and writing for and I guess keeping a rein on this guy, Dean, making sure his art is good. So you're sort of in the editorial role on him, even though you have an editor. Why are you paying the editor if you have to keep track of Dean yourself? I don't get it. But anyway, so as far as project management goes, how is the third Elysian Fields, which is really the second Elysian Fields, how's whatever comes after Pyramid Gambit? When can we expect that while you're developing?
It honestly just depends, Blue. Like the script for that one is pretty much done. Pages of the Dead is all. I'd say I have like 5 or 6 more pages to script for it. It's pretty much done. And then I
I don't know why I keep thinking of him as a 15-year-old. He's like in his 30s or something.
Anyways, so oh goodness. Point is, it just all depends. I don't want to overwhelm myself. We need to make sure that we get these books out to the consumer and that they're quality. And then, let's say worst case scenario, people get Pyramid Gambit and they think it's an utter pile of shit.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't like the book, consumer comes first. So if they don't like the book, I'm like, that'll obviously have an effect on how we move forward with Elysian Fields. Like, so that also plays into it, because I'm not just going to keep pumping out a book if people don't like that book. If people don't like that book, then I've got to listen.
Yeah.
So a lot of that also depends on how feedback is. But if we do end up doing Pages of the Dead, I'm thinking it will probably be a late summer, early fall campaign.
Okay.
It certainly won't be before, like it will likely be. If we do it, it'll be after we fulfill the Embrace.
So people have recently talked about how many campaigns do they want per year from a particular title or artist, etc. Do you think that per year you'd be able to pump out 3 campaigns a year? So this would be fulfilling Pyramid Gambit, that's 1, Embrace, and then Ages of Dead would be number 3, and that would be it for 2021. And then move into I guess for 2022 would be 2 campaigns for and I know that they're different sizes, so that kind of throws things off a little, but 2 campaigns for the Embrace for 2022. Do you think 3 campaigns for a year over 2 different titles might be workable?
My goal is to shoot for 2 titles a year.
Okay.
I think that doing 2 books a year ensures that you stay on you're staying on your deadlines, making sure that people get a quality product.
Okay.
While also not getting too ahead of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we not only have enough time for people to get these books, but for people to read them, and so we can get feedback.
and then react to the feedback,
Exactly.
such as hand delivering a lamp to Mo and just beating him savagely with it.
Dude, I'm at this point, I'm like very tempted to just do a cross country drive
Mhm.
with a lamp, and just every fucking person be like, "Are you Mo Biggs?"
Are you-
Because if so, I got a fucking package for you.
Okay, so this is going to get really twisted. You could just email everybody and ask, "Are you Mo Biggs?" But then it's the people who don't answer or who say no are the ones that they're either lying or hiding. So the survey, so the ones who say yes, there'll be many of them, are probably not Mo Biggs. What do we got here? I'm adding a dumb toady character who is afraid of light. His name is Ogden.
Go on ahead, man. I give you like you can even use my likeness if you want.
We've hit 2 hours, and I don't know what ell's going on. So we've run the gamut of a lot of our topics. So thanks for joining us. Talking about writing and what got into it, and Bandito, thanks for coming on and making things interesting as we were having a lull. Let's see. Wait. Tell us. Oh, there we go. Go ahead, read, Mike, please.
Tell us how going around asking if someone is Mo Biggs and telling them I've got a package for you works out. I will.
So hey, thanks for giving us some of your time, and I hope everything goes really well before you close. I have to open. And how do I do this? Oh boy. No, I'm not leaning into the microphone again. I'm just refreshing the thing. It says we're up to 7977 by 142 backers. So that is $23 short of 8,000. Ooh, that's one backing. We are one backing away. Unless somebody wants to give just the, no, you can't do the straight donation thing anymore. Oh, yeah, that's going to be rough for the guy who can't do the straight. If you can't do the straight donation thing in demand, at least for me, it's not showing up. How to do two different covers. But I'll tell you what, message Michael and he'll figure it out for you and make it happen.
Yeah, dude. Like, I could have sworn that it allowed you to do that. Still.
See, I thought, funeral for Smiling Bandito's dead phone. But that's how I got you that third backing, because you're like, anybody who backs 3 times gets a drawing, and yeah, I needed a way to get you a third backing, so I know I used it. Okay.
That's weird. It might have been because I opted out of in demand. They might have taken that down.
No, I remember running across this like a week ago on this campaign. All right. Well, Shane, please stick with Michael. Be in back at once so you can be in communication. And he's a good guy. So he'll help you out.
To where Shane, you can just hit me up on freaking PayPal or something like that. We'll work it out.
Okay. Hey, this guy streamed for 2 freaking hours with a fired up chat and didn't sell a cent. It's not coming through on the highlightables yet. And there it is.
You're right, Mo. I didn't sell a single lamp, but I did sell a few books. So I'll take it.
Hey, thank you to everybody for sticking with us for 2 hours. Really appreciate it. Michael, you get some sleep. You've been streaming today. You're tired. Have a good night.
All right, buddy.